Hi there, thank you for joining with me this morning. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to you. I don't know if you've ever felt like really giving up on something. You've tried hard, you've done everything you could. It may be a project, sometimes it may even be a person, and you just say to yourself, this is not going the way it should, I'm going to walk away. Henry Ford, the motor car manufacturer, built hundreds of cars, thousands of cars, but he once decided he was going to build the most perfect car, and he did. It was called the Edsel, and it was an absolute fiasco. It just plummeted in sales. Carol Channing, the actress who appeared in Hillwood Ollie, and she was once asked by an interviewer, have you ever had a really embarrassing moment? And she looked him straight in the eye and said, yes. Next question, please. So we've all been there. We've all felt this is wrong. How do I get out of it? There's a picture at the entrance to Dachau, the museum there, and it's a young girl and her mother. And of course, the mother knows what lies ahead. The young girl doesn't. And the mother puts her hand over her eyes to shield her from the cruelty of this very cruel world. Usually when we feel down, when things are not going right, we generalise. We think because one thing's going wrong, everything's going wrong, it's going down the tube. Secondly, we conclude that the problems we have will be permanent and maybe we'll never be happy again. There's a legend about King Solomon, that wise king, and he once got an advisor to go and look for a mythical ring. He said it must exist somewhere, and apparently if you had that ring, then if you were happy, you would never always be completely happy, but you'd always be content. And as well, if you were sad, if you were down the dumps, you wouldn't remain there, you would come back to a position of stability. But of course it was mythical, and so the advisor wasn't able to find it. However, he was going through a marketplace one day and he saw this jeweller working away, and he went and spoke to him and told him about the ring. And the jeweller smiled and he picked up a gold ring and he said, I think I have the very thing for the king. And he engraved in it. And when it was passed over to King Solomon, it had simply these words, this too shall pass. So whatever we're going through just now is not permanent. The last thing I want to say is we're never alone. I do remember once my mother saying to me, she suffered rheumatoid arthritis really from her early 20s. It's a cruel, cruel illness, and she bore it with great fortitude. But one occasion when she was feeling really down and it was near the end of her life, she looked at me and said, Ian, I think God has forgotten me. And it hit me. I didn't have an answer, and I live with that. And sadly, not long after she passed, and I said this to a neighbouring minister of mine, Ken Russell, lovely lad, who was the minister of Jameson, and he put his arms around me, and I've never forgotten this, and he said, didn't Jesus say that on the cross? My God, why have you forsaken me? But God hadn't forsaken him, and Easter was just around the corner. We can all feel down at times. Someone once said, when you're sunk right to rock bottom, I pray you will strike the rock of ages, Jesus himself. I take comfort in that. I hope you do too. God bless you.